Okay, we have here another project, which we're building a deck box that they sent to us so we could show it to you. It's going to end up looking like this, an 80-gallon deck box. And we got all the hardware and stuff out of the package. And it actually came packaged very, very nicely. And at this point, we have the bottom and then the two sides there. And basically, they just slid into little slots on the side. Actually, they were slots similar to this, but they had little grooves where you just put them in there and then slid them to the back side here like this. They just slid this direction into those little slots down there, and this is the left and the right walls there that slid into the bottom there. And then you got the other walls, and you got a top and all that kind of stuff. And actually, they're really very solidly made walls, if you can just see how thick and solid they are and stuff. So it's going to be a really nice, hardy deck box, and you can see there's even going to be a little place for a latch there and stuff. But you can see the hardware. It's got these really nice metal hinges and stuff. So, and it came with a little screwdriver-y thing and a little wrench and all the little screws and nuts and bolts and things like that. So anyway, we're just in the beginning stages of it. I've probably been working on it for about 3 to 5 minutes or so, but just wanted to show you we're in the process here putting it together, and so far easy peasy. And then next we have the back panel here, and what we're going to end up doing here is, see these little flaps here, these are going to fold in. Of course, I'll need 2 hands to do it. It's going to fold in, and on the bottom is a little ear right there, and that little ear is going to end up going into that little slot right down there. And then on the bottom there's another little tab that's going to go into there and into there, and then we're going to fold this little piece around here. You can see where there's this little thin spot there. It's going to fold right there, and then this one, the little ear in the bottom, is going to go into that little spot right there. And so this little wall right here just kind of makes a little L shape, folds around there, and then your back wall will be on. But of course, I'm going to have to use 2 hands there, so we'll put the camera down here, and here it is on the diagram to show you on the instructions. Okay, with these front and back pieces, they're kind of like all one straight piece, and then what you have to do is push straight down, and it'll fold that bottom flap down, and it'll fold this piece here so that it'll go into this little piece here. When you stand it on it in, these little slots will go into there. Well, this is the top side here, but these little, oh, sorry, Pippi. These little slots, stepped on the dog. A little bit, not a lot, but enough to make her move.
Yeah.
Anyway, these little slots here will go into these little slots right here when you turn that around. And so, but anyway, you got to bend this little flap over, because it comes straight up like this, but then you just bend, because it's got this little place where you can bend it there, and then you got to make it fit right straight down there, across there, and on this side too. So anyway, that's the next order, because we did that with the back wall there and got that in there, and then put the screws in here and here and here and over there too. We got the screws in over there. So now we got to do the same thing with the front wall. So ta-da! Okay, now we turned the deck box upside down, and these little slots that came from the side walls, you just like put little screws in those little holes there to hold the walls onto the bottom there. So that's what we're gonna do next here, is those little screw holes there are gonna get little screws to hold, make sure the walls stay on to attach to the bottom. So how about that? And one nice thing they did on the bottom here was they left these little channels so you can reach your screwdriver in there, or of course if you're me and you have some arthritis in your hand, or you just like a little bit quick and easy, I have my DeWalt drill driver here that I use, because of course I have some arthritis in my hand, so this makes things way easier. But see, these little channels here make it way easier for you to get your screwdriver or your drill driver or whatever in there, so that makes it super duper handy too. But yeah, I've got the little screws in there to hold the bottom onto the walls, which is kind of a nice thing to do. Okay, so there's the basic box, and we got the bottom on, we got the side walls on, and we got the front and the back walls on. And of course we did the screwing of putting all the screws in to hold the walls on, and then we did the screwing to make sure that the bottom stayed on. And next is we're going to put the top on. We got hinges and we got things like that to do next. Okay, so next is hinges. We got the lid, it's upside down, the little latch pieces right here, and we're gonna got the hinges. You got the little pneumatic or whatever lifty thing on the inside here, and this one is gonna go the little lifty thing on the inside here, and you can see there's a little cutout in the resin plastic here for that hinge to go in, and there's some little holes for the screw holes on the frame right there. You can see those line up just like that, and we got our little screws here, so we're going to just do that just like it says on the diagram. That's the next piece there for the lid. So we got this is the interior side of the lid right here, so that's the next piece. Okay, and about 30 seconds later, got that attached there, and that one attached there. That one wasn't too hard, and you can see this goes there like that. We'll attach that next, I'm sure. That's probably the next step here. I'm a big one for directions. I know some people aren't, but I am. So next we need 4 screws to attach that next. Okay, on the directions, it took me a second to figure out what they were talking about right here. But what they're saying right here is, right here, there's a little screw hole right here on this little hingey thing here. So we did these 2 right here. And then there's a little hole right there that goes into the resin on the lid right there. And right there. See right here. There's that little hole right there. Goes into the resin on there. It's right underneath this little thing here just to hold this stable. That little hinge thing right there stable. But it took me a second of studying this to even figure out what they were referring to. But in case if you're confused, there's the answer. And then of course this little screw goes right here. In case if you don't know what that one is right there, that's that one up here. See, we just did that one. Now we got to do that one on both sides. Okay, when you set the lid on here, there's little notches in those little hinges right there that sit right on the edge. This little notch on the resin, there's notches in the hinge here. So you set those on there like that, and then you're going to line up the screw holes and stuff to put the to tether these down. So that's our next plan of attack. Okay, we got the hinges down. And that little middle one, that middle screw right, or bolt thing right there doesn't really work because the hole is behind this strut here. So I couldn't really get the little bolt thing in through there because it's right behind this thing here. So that doesn't make sense to me, but I didn't do that one. But I did the front one and the back one on both sides. So got that done. And look at that. Looks like it's all sealed up all the way around because the lid comes over. So it looks like it's going to be pretty dust and mostly waterproof-ish. And now the next thing is just to put this little thing on here for it to kind of latch down if you wanted to padlock it or anything. That's kind of the next step. And then put it in place, and we got this giant box that we could hide big things in. Well, it wouldn't really be hidden, but because it's a big giant box. But that's a big 80-gallon box right there that goes on the deck. So how about that? It's really good quality. I mean, we have a little baby box that's not nearly as good a quality as this one is. So yeah, I'm impressed. And ta-da, there we go. We got our 80-gallon deck box all built up, and ta-da, we got well, all kinds of room in there. Boy, we could crawl in there and have a little party. So ta-da, it's giant. You know, you could, I mean, it's what? It's a good, 2.5 feet wide, probably. Probably not quite 3 feet wide, but, and it's a good, let's see, this is my, well, my thigh anyway. My waist is up here, but that's my thigh height and stuff. So you can see it's a good, good size. So yeah, somebody's gonna crawl into it. Yeah, there's all kinds of room in there.
My hideaway box.
Yes, it is. You know, yeah. This is a 114-pound woman. You could probably put 2 of them in there.
Yeah.
You could put 2 of you in there.
Yeah. I could get my dog in here with me.
Well, you could if you could get her in there, but
yeah.
I'm not lifting her up to put her in there.
That's great.
Yeah. She's like, what are you doing over there?
Yeah.
Okay, good stuff. Well, that wasn't, I mean, if I was more competent with tools and I didn't have arthritis, man, that probably would have been quicker, but it took me about an hour and a half, something like that.
And it helps if you have somebody to help you.
Oh, yeah, there was definitely some parts where I needed 2 people, but that's a part of it is my strength in my arms and my hands, too. So, anyway, yeah, good stuff. It's super, super solid. It is so solid.
You like it?
So solid. Yeah, she likes it.
Yeah.
Good stuff. She's like, you could put a lot of treats in there. All right,
Yeah,
good deal.
Actually, we could fill it with her dog toys and it still wouldn't be big enough.
Probably. That's probably true. All right, good stuff. Thanks for sending that.